Hi everybody, Trisha Keel, Tomorrow's Key. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about how I got started with Feng Shui. I had always been interested in energy work, but one day found myself stranded in nowhere northern Mississippi. I was in the middle of the country at my brother's new place, which was in a town that was so small. There was not even a red light. There was a flashing yellow light, but it was 100 miles to the nearest Walmart. So you understand that I was in the middle of nowhere, and I'm a Houston girl, really a happy Houston girl. And in the middle of days of boredom and not being able to go anywhere or do anything over a Thanksgiving weekend, 5 days, however much time it was way too much free time on my hand. I picked up a book in my sister-in-law's library. It was a magazine, Victorian Southern, like Southern Living, only it was Victorian Living. And in that magazine, there was an article about this hot air balloon company out in California who had a great business, but they weren't making any money. And so they, as people in California are often wont to do, called in their feng shui person instead of any other options because they just didn't understand. They had so much business, why weren't they successful? So the feng shui person came in, as the story goes, and discovered that their roof in their bathroom, which was in the back left corner of the building where they worked, was leaking. And that, as you know, is the wealth area. The back left, all the way back, all the way to the left, ninth of the structure had a bathroom in it. The sink leaked, the faucet dripped, and there was a leak under the sink. So they had the drip on top, the drip from the faucet, and the drip beneath, and the toilet ran. So the feng shui person said, you're not paying attention to details. Your money is coming in and going out, and you're not paying any attention to it. You need to get a plumber in here, you need to get a roofer in here, and you need to get that tended to right away. So they did. They called a plumber and they called a roofer, and while they were at it, they discovered that their bookkeeper had been embezzling 30, 40 grand a month for many years. And so all of a sudden they came to understand that when you pay attention to details means more than just, gassing up the balloon and taking a ride. It means look at all the details of your business. Finances should come first if you're here to make money. So as they began to pay attention to the details, their business turned around and they were much more successful. California Dreamin', this great little company, a great little article, and I read that and I went, what is feng shui? I'd never heard of that. This is like 96. And so I got back to town. I did survive the great vast country of Mississippi, and I got back to town, and I promptly went to the bookstore and got me the very first book I could find on feng shui, and there weren't many. I picked up Tara Catherine Collins' Western Guide to Feng Shui, and I read through this with great interest. And I'm one of those people, I want to know news I can use, and in an effort to use the information that she was sharing, I promptly began my own margarita research. Now, for those of you who have not ever heard me refer to margarita research before, I'll make this short and sweet. When you live in Texas, it is likely that you will have company come visit you who will want to go eat Tex-Mex, because Tex-Mex is a brand of food all its own. And if they're going to go eat Tex-Mex, they are going to drink margaritas. If you don't go to the restaurants, the Mexican food restaurants open and close all over town all the time. So you have to go and do your margarita research. Because if you haven't eaten the food and drunk the drinks, you don't know whether or not you can give a personal testimonial saying, hey, I've tried it, it's good. You just blind luck walk into any restaurant, see if you're going to get good Tex-Mex. Well, if it's not good, when your guests go home, they will not speak kindly about you. So it behooves all Southern hostesses and hosts to go out and do their margarita research. Translates to, you want to know if it's good, try it for yourself. So I took Tara's book and read it and started at my home's front door, um, experimenting for myself. We lived on a corner of a street where one street went down in front of the garage driveway area and one street went across the front of the house. And we just never went in and out the front door. And come to find out, the front door is the mouth of the property, and if you're not using your front door, you don't have nearly as much energy slash money slash ability to move forward in your life as you do if you are using the front door. So I went, and I went and I looked at my front door, and there was a bent wood coat rack thing behind the front door, and on it were 1,000 baseball caps, some baseball bats, basketballs, footballs, umbrellas, sweaters, so much stuff that my front door would only open wide enough for me to reach out and get the mail and close the door. We never went in and out that door. Right next to that bent wood hat rack, I had a little chest of drawers, and in the 3 drawers of that little chest, I had all the mittens and hats and gloves and cold weather gear that my girls might need, or that I might need, or my husband might need at the time. There's not a lot of really cold days in Houston. Thank you, God. We do like the fact that we don't have to shovel liquid sunshine. But again, you couldn't open the door because even if the hat rack wasn't there, the door would hit this chest of drawers. So I looked at all that stuff and the little coat closet that was ceiling to floor, wall to wall, packed with stuff so that if you opened the door, you had to throw stuff in and close it really quick before stuff fell out. And all of this is right at my front door, which I don't use. So what I did was I emptied the closet, I took out the hat rack, and I took out that little chest. I had ceiling to floor, wall to wall, I had big mirrors that I moved into that hall and mounted on the wall of that little tiny front foyer entrance. And I moved a very small table in front of it and put a fountain on it and changed the art in there to be something lovely and fluid and liquid and flowing into the house, because you want the water energy flowing into the house, like money flowing into the house as opposed to out the door. And I did, I believe I hung a crystal chandelier light fixture instead of the clear, it wasn't clear glass, it was white opaque glass. So it's translucent, but you can't see through it. So I changed that to a crystal cover to lift the energy from the poison arrow of the edge of the closet that was aimed at the door. And as I did this stuff at the front door, I did it, and then I sat back and I watched, and all of a sudden I started getting a whole lot more business. And so I talked to my husband about, I would like to change out the broken front sidewalk, which looked like there had been an earthquake and there was up and down and broken stuff. And he said, okay. And we had our yard guy break that up and haul it off. And he and my daughters and a friend of ours laid pavers all across where that sidewalk had been, and he expanded my front porch. The front porch had a row of the original boxwood hedge that had been planted in the early 50s, and it was all sticks, and it looked like it had a little green crew cut across the top, and there was a great big pine tree that kept a layer of pine needles and sap and pine cones, and of course the squirrels gnaw pine cones like little corns on the cob, and so all of this was always all over the front. And that tree got taken out, and it was right on the edge of the front overhang over the porch, right on it. So that every time the tree swayed, it pushed on the roof. It was time for it to go, and it did. And so our front porch expanded, and then the gardens expanded, and the front sidewalk was widened, and as I enhanced this front area, we started using the front yard and playing in the front yard, and neighbors started coming over and sitting on the front porch, and life completely, radically, drastically changed in short order. Within 6 weeks, my husband came up to me and was waving this piece of paper in front of my face. Look at this, he said. And I went, what? And I put that piece of paper down so I could see it. And it was a bank statement. And he said, you see that number right there? That's our bank balance. And I said, yeah, I see that number. What? He said, well, that number is twice as high as any number we have ever had in the bank. can you do some more? And I said, yeah, because our house was shaped like a T, not an L, not an H, a T. So I had lots of work to do, but we did. The next spot that we did was the wealth corner outside, which brought it into the inside and doubled what we had doubled before. It was quite a launch, and it got my attention, and I made unbelievable amounts of money in those years, in those startup years. And I encourage you to do your margarita research and check it out. At one point in the unfolding of all this fun, I had a friend of mine come to go over some work I was doing for her, and she mentioned to me that she was trying to get pregnant, and that she and her husband were going to go to Russia and adopt 2 children, and they were mortgaging the house and getting all the credit cards they could and cashing it in for all the cash, because they had to have unbelievable amounts of money to go over there and get these babies. And she wanted 2 because she figured she wouldn't be able to do this more than once. And I told her, before you do that, maybe I should just come over and just, take a look and see if there's some way I could help. And she said, okay. And so I went over to her place on Super Bowl Sunday in, I think it was 2000. And in very short order, I could see what was going on in her house, and learned what was up, and talked to her and her husband about what they needed to do to shift some of their perspectives and beliefs. The area that was in their house that involved children and creativity was never used, and was in fact held a table and chairs that brought them very bad memories and very bad thoughts. And so we had a long talk, and then we set the stage for families. And next thing I know, she's calling me from work one day telling me that she has embarrassed herself at work and screamed and yelled at all her staff, and she doesn't understand what's going on. And so she came all the way down from the big airport here, Bush Intercontinental, down to where I was in central part of town, and sat on my front porch and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing, tells me the story of how she'd had a bad day at work. And I looked at her, and I have a tendency to just say stuff. I looked at her and I said, so my friend, has it occurred to you that you might be pregnant? And she turned on me, "Rawr! How dare you say this? You know how bad we have wanted to be pregnant. You know how long I have tried to get pregnant." And she stood up and grabbed her stuff and her work and her project and left. And I figured, well, there goes a really big client. And about 3 days later, she called me from the gynecologist office in a very small voice and said, "Yo, Trisha, remember that conversation we had on your front porch? I'm pregnant!" Really pregnant. She had gotten pregnant very shortly after I had gone to her home. And about 9 months later, I got this in the mail. There she is, my first Feng Shui baby. I've got several of these now. It's great fun. It's great fun to do what I do. So again, I encourage you to try your own margarita research and enjoy the joy of Feng Shui and what it can do in your life to stage your success. On my first trip to California to teach architects about Feng Shui friendly design, I stepped out of my hotel into the lobby and I found this, California Dreamin', the balloon rides from that company that I read about in Mississippi so long ago, and there I was living the dream. I encourage you to check out Feng Shui. If you'd like to have your own Feng Shui consultation, watch the videos to come and call me up, and I'll come over and we will play with your energies and set the stage for your success. I am Trisha Keel. Tomorrow's Key. I look forward to being of service to you.